Hey guys, today is the next video in our series of suggested videos. Today's video was suggested by Wireable Sheep 133. He suggested that we rank every Skylanders hat. Now obviously that video would be too large of a video to make just in a few days, but I decided that I would rank every hat from the first game, Spyros Adventure. If you want to see me rank the hats from Giants and the other games, just like this video so that I know that people enjoyed it. Let's say 250 likes and I will absolutely make a Giants hat ranking video. Anyway, I'm only ranking the hats from Spyros Adventure like I said, and specifically Spyros Adventure for the Wii edition because other platforms have some specific hats that are not on the Wii version, but I'm talking about specifically the Wii version of Spyros Adventure. Now coming in last place, aka 41st place, because there are 41 hats in Spyros Adventure, is going to be the Tropical Turban. Yeah, this hat is just doesn't appeal to me. It's just kind of an eyesore, and I understand what they're going for, but it really just doesn't work. Next up is the Pumpkin Hat. Yeah, this one is also just really bad. It's just kind of basically a beanie, but it's in the style of a pumpkin, and I'm not too much of a pumpkin fan, so next up is like the Unicorn Helmet, and I could see why this one would be seemed as cool, but honestly, I don't really get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and yeah, I just feel like it doesn't really fit, so yeah. Next on the list is the Spiked Hat. This is kind of just a regular like hat that you'd see like a British police officer wearing, but there's a big spike at the top. It's just kind of ugly. Now next up is the Fez, and this is kind of where the line is. Like the first bottom four hats I really didn't like, but the Fez and onward I think that they're at least decent hats. But yeah, the Fez finds itself here just because I feel like it's kind of dull and bland, but yeah, it's alright. Next up is the Fancy Hat, and this is the kind of hat that I would not expect to see on a Skylander, which is why it goes here, because I feel like it doesn't really fit for superhero, basically. Yeah, anyway. Next up is the COSSACK hat. This one is pretty cool, although I feel like it gets overshadowed by the next hat. And yeah, the Coonskin Hat is also pretty cool. What I feel like both of these hats lack is just a bit more color in them, but I understand what they're going for. And honestly, yeah, that's why they're here, is because they're kind of bland, but there's not really much they could do to be better. Yeah. Next up is the Combat Hat, and this is just another very basic hat. It's kind of like what army men would wear, and yeah, it's just very basic, not much to it. Next up is the Beret, and yeah, again, a lot of these hats that are in the middle are just very basic or just regular hats that you'd expect to see, but there's nothing wrong with the beret. I just wish that they could have added something, maybe like a monocle or something, but I know it's just a hat, so it's pretty good. Next up is the Jester Hat. It's very accurate, but I feel like the colors don't really go for me, at least with this hat, so yeah, that's why it finds itself here. Next up is the Winged Hat. This is one of the hats that I really don't know what they're going for here, but it still looks kind of cool, and so yeah, that's why it's here. Next up is the Miner Hat. Again, a really basic hat, and not a lot going for it, but it still looks cool, so. Next is the Anvil Hat, and this one is kind of cool. It's just basically an anvil on your head, which I think is kind of cool, and yeah. Next up is the Pan Hat. And again, like the anvil, it's just kind of cool to have like a pan on your Skylanders head. And yeah, I think that this hat is just really cool. The Chef Hat is next, and this is a pretty cool hat. I like that it's like obviously designed off of a chef, and I think it just goes really well with most of the Skylanders. Next up is the Pirate Do-Rag Hat, and this one is really badass on most of the Skylanders. And then you put it on someone like Wrecking Ball, which you're seeing right now, and it doesn't look that good, but it looks really cool on most of the Skylanders. Next is the Devil Hat, and I really understood what they're going for here, but the execution was awful, which just goes to show how good this hat is. I mean, even though the execution was horrible, it's still a really good hat. Next up is the Birthday Hat. I like that it's kind of just that classic hat that you'd see in a cartoon that people wear for the birthday, and it just really does its job well. It's really colorful, so that's why it's here. The Propeller Hat is next, and I like that a lot. It's kind of just the classic propeller hat, but it's really cool, and the colors are pretty good on it, so yeah. Next up is the Spy Gear hat, and this hat's really cool because it's just regular like combat hat that we saw earlier, but with like little like binoculars on it, which really just adds that much to it. And you also see the Mabu wearing it in the tech levels, which is kind of a cool touch. Next is the Napoleon hat. It just reminds me of what a general would wear, and it looks really cool. Fittingly, next on our list is the General hat. Yeah, this one just goes really well with every single Skylander in this game, and it makes them just look even cooler. Next is the Pirate hat. This hat is very similar to the Napoleon hat, but I put it above just because of the little pirate logo on it, and there was probably just a bit of extra color on it, which just boosts it up that more, in my opinion. Next is the Trojan hat. Again, really well designed with this one. I like the red mohawk almost, and the gold goes really good with it, and that's why it's here, because it just looks, again, very badass on most of the Skylanders. Next is the Happy Birthday hat, and this is the one that was exclusive to Wii. So you're seeing it right here. It's a really cool hat. I would wear it on my birthday. I mean, it has candles on it, and it's in this design of a cake, so I think it's really cool. Next up is the top hat, and I'm honestly just a sucker for top hats overall. I mean, in Monopoly, I always try to choose the top hat. So yeah, that's why it's here. I think it goes really well. Next is the WABBIT ears. This is the first of like the kind of animal ear hats. It goes fine, but I mean, I don't really get it all too well. And next is the moose ears. These are the second of the animal hats, and I like it just a bit more than the WABBIT ears, so that's why it is going here. Next is the cowboy hat, and this one just looks really cool. I especially like putting it on Trigger Happy because I think he looks really cool with it on, and yeah, that's why it's going here. Next is the plunger hat, one of the funniest hats. It's funny to just kind of put a plunger on one of your Skylanders, and it just looks really funny, so that's why it's going here. Next is the rocket hat. This is one of the biggest hats, and it looks pretty cool, but I don't know if I'd actually put it on any of my Skylanders. I just think it looks really cool. Next up is the royal hat. I'm pretty sure this is the last hat that you earn in the games. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it doesn't really matter to me. But the royal hat is really cool, and it just makes me feel really awesome while I'm wearing it. It just feels like I'm really royalty. And right after the last hat that you earn in the games is the first hat that you earn in the games, the Viking hat. Looks really awesome, especially on Spyro. I love to put this hat on Spyro. But yeah, this hat looks really cool, and I appreciate that it's the first hat, and it's one of the coolest in my opinion. After that is the Rocker Mohawk hat. This is just a really cool one. I like that it is very colorful, and it goes great on Whirlwind, is who I usually put this hat on, and so that's why it's there. Up next is the eye hat, probably the hat that I really don't understand. It's kind of just an alien eye. It's cool though, and that's why it's up very high on the list, is because I just think it's a cool hat. Rounding out the top 5 is the bone hat. This is just a cool hat to put on any Skylander because it kind of just looks like there's a bone sticking out of either end of the Skylander's head, which just is kind of funny. So yeah, that's why it's in number 5. In 4th is the halo. Again, just looks really cool on any Skylander, and it just fits. There's no reason it wouldn't fit, is because it's just a halo hat. I mean, it's just cool. In 3rd place is the Santa hat. Regardless of whether you celebrate Christmas or not, I'm sure Santa hats are cool. I hope, at least. I like Santa hats a lot, so that's why it's in 3rd place. And it's just kind of cool to just add on a little Christmas touch to your Skylander, even if you don't celebrate Christmas. It's just more or less the festivities. Next up is the wizard hat. This is one of the coolest hats. I almost just cursed there to emphasize how cool it was, but yeah, this hat is just so cool. I think it looks really cool on any Magic Skylander or any Air Skylander. And it doesn't just go with them, it goes with any Skylander, in my opinion. It just makes them look even cooler, especially if they're like a mage-style Skylander, like Double Trouble or something like that. Whirlwind goes well with it as well. So yeah. And if you've been keeping track all along, which I doubt you have, but in first place, might be a bit of a surprise, is the Tiki Hat found in Darkwater Cove. First of all, props for it to go well with the theming of this level. Darkwater Cove just seemed like the level that would have the Tiki Hat. And second of all, this hat is just really cool. It's kind of like a totem pole almost, but it's tiki themed and stuff. I just think it's really cool. And I also just like it going with Wrecking Ball, because it kind of matches him. But that has nothing to do with it. I just use Wrecking Ball for the gameplay because he's one of like the most basic ball Skylanders that most of the hats would just go well with him. So anyway, yeah, the Tiki Hat is in my first position. And that's my list. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Also, thank you for 400 subscribers. We're getting really big, and it's all thanks to you guys. I really want to thank you guys all for subscribing, liking the videos, showing me support, and yeah, I'm going to keep up making content because I enjoy it a lot, and I'll see you guys soon for my next video, which is coming out very soon.
It's all I've been looking for and so much more, and now I'm here, now you're here, nothing can go wrong 'cause I am right.